Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Thursday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there, having a fantastic start to your day, and a great week out there so far. Thank you all for tuning in this morning as we try to figure out what's going to happen weather-wise for your Thursday. It's going to be a pretty chill day out there, not a whole lot going on. Speaking of chill, there is definitely a chill out there for the deep south, the eastern U.S., southeast, as a lot of folks are experiencing their first freeze of the season. If not their first, maybe their second or third, and a lot of folks will experience another freeze tonight where it will get below 32 degrees. But we'll speak on everything in this video. Who's going to see what today, if anything at all, is going to be a nice day. I can tell you probably the most active feature today is this system that is moving into the Pacific Northwest. We'll talk on some details with that, what you guys could see as far as rainfall and a little bit of snow. Maybe not a little bit, maybe a good bit of snow up in the higher elevation. So if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I want to give a shout out to Ron Hilton. He donated to the channel through PayPal. I just want to say thank you, and I'm going to be doing that if anybody donates through PayPal, Cash App. Of course, if you drop a super thanks on the YouTube channel, everybody sees it. So I have an opportunity to really thank you there, but I'm going to thank you in the videos too. You guys deserve that, and I just want to say thank you. I'm big on appreciation. I think you folks should know that by now. And it really tears my nerves up when I don't have an email to email you guys or anything like that. Just thank you personally off the channel. But thank you all for donating to the channel. I'm going to be doing that. We're going to roll through it much quicker than what I'm doing right now. But just want to say thank you, Ron. I appreciate it. I know that you tune in regularly too. So thank you very much. If you folks got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. Getting my words all twisted up here, but let's break it down for you folks. I'm not going to keep you guys long. This should be a pretty quick video, to be honest, just because there's not a whole lot to talk about. But you can see where the dry air boundary is. It's all the way down here in central Florida. You see these real dull colors, almost black colors right here, dark gray. That is where our dry air is. It's trying to get all the way down to Miami. I think you guys will have a drop in dew points, but it won't be really a clearing cold front for you folks. But I think you'll feel some effects of it. But just a pretty chilly air mass still over this entire region right here, and even other areas too, to the west of this. But this area right here experiencing some of their coldest air of the season, especially down here in the deep south and southeast. 29 degrees at my house, first freeze of the fall season. In fact, the previous low temperature of the season was 39 at my house, and we're all the way down to 29, so that's 10 degrees lower than what the coldest temperature we've already seen this season is, so that's a dramatic difference for sure. We have a system that is entering the Pacific Northwest. You can see all the moisture based off the whiter colors on your screen, which indicates more moisture in the atmosphere. The middle of the country, I mean, I'll do a check mark here. It's pretty quiet. It's chilly. You're starting to warm up in the high plains, but overall, as far as weather falling from the sky, not a whole lot of it. Pretty quiet weather. We take a look at the radar out there, and I mean, it's pretty quiet. The only area that it's pretty active this morning is there's a lot of rain. Another system moving into the Pacific Northwest. It's raining pretty good in Washington State, just about the entire state. Raining in western Oregon, the extreme northern sections of California. Rain is overspreading areas of Idaho. It's snowing in the higher elevations, maybe of Idaho and Montana. And this moisture will continue to work its way east and eventually begin to take over northwestern sections of Wyoming too, probably in the form more so snow. Still a little bit of lake energy up here. We have a lake effect snow band that's going off Lake Ontario, Lake Erie still this morning. Could have some moderate to heavy snow falling. This added an additional couple inches of snow overnight. Let me know what you're seeing. I definitely would like to know. And if you guys told me what y'all saw for the 31st of October in the comments yesterday, I've not had a chance to answer the comments or look at anything. I'll do so this afternoon, just a little bit behind from my little girl being sick yesterday, which, by the way, she does feel better. She's going to school today, and the antibiotics is kicked in, and she's good to go. So thank y'all for the prayers for that. Storm Prediction Center out there, it's a quiet day. They have put a small little risk of just general thunderstorms around Eugene and Medford points west to the coastline. But no threat of severe weather. Excessive rainfall outlook. We do have a marginal risk of flash flooding occurring, which means there's a 5% chance of it. Pretty quiet. Nothing significant as far as flash flooding ongoing. We do have a couple flood watches, though, that we will watch for up here. Winter weather advisories in western Montana, really for these higher elevations. Some dense fog ongoing in North Dakota. strong winds continue in southeast areas of Wyoming. And then this purple color right here, these are ongoing freeze warnings for a lot of these counties. In these freeze warnings, you folks are below freezing or right around it this morning, and they will continue for tomorrow morning, where it will get below freezing again for a lot of folks, especially folks closer to the Carolinas, Georgia, and Virginia. Speaking of the southeast, I mean, it is cold out there right now. I mean, let's update this. I think this is from about 30 minutes ago. Let's see what the latest is. About the same. So, I mean, Memphis, you're below freezing. Shreveport, below freezing. Jackson, the Meridian, Mississippi. Birmingham, all the way down to Montgomery. Northern Alabama, very chilly. I mean, some areas are down into the low 20s, and also, you know, in areas of northeast Mississippi, low 20s. This is kind of one of those days, if you're kind of in these, like the Cumberland Plateau, for example. I got a buddy that's on Twitter that or social media that I communicate with. He lives on the southern end of the Cumberland Plateau. He says it's warmer where he is in those higher elevations, and a lot of times when you have a fleeting air mass, which it's still in place, but a fleeting air mass, a lot of times the cold air settles into those lower rural areas rather than those higher elevation regions, and it settles in these valleys and these kind of dips in these areas. So sometimes, you know, if you're driving and you kind of go down into a dip for a mile or two, you'll notice if you look at your car temperature meter, it actually will drop a couple degrees sometimes. And there's a reason, because cold air kind of will settle down, and a lot of times it'll be colder in some of those valleys, and that is the case across Tennessee and places, and it's probably the case across the southern Alps too. But very cold morning, rambling at this point. There's areas in and around the Atlanta region below freezing, central Georgia below freezing, to Augusta, Columbia in the 20s, and Charlotte, Raleigh, same thing, very cold up into West Virginia. Yeah, and just you know, it's colder in the south than it is in like the Ohio Valley in the Midwest. So pretty wild stuff, but very chilly temperatures all the way down to Florida. So, but as far as precipitation today, this is when we need some precipitation to move in, like right now, so it can snow. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyways, as far as precipitation, there's nothing going on today. The only thing I'd mention is maybe some return flow that might move into the northeast coastline of Florida, maybe Jacksonville, St. Augustine. Might see some showers later this evening, maybe even into southeast areas of Georgia. Could see some shower activity as we're waking up tomorrow morning. But yeah, nothing really going on over the next 24 hours precipitation wise. Nothing at all. Up here in the northeast, a much quieter day compared to the last 2 days. These lake effect snow bands that's ongoing just south of Buffalo and around the Watertown region off Ontario will settle down throughout the next several hours, and then by the time we move into the afternoon, they are not ongoing anymore. And just the rest of the northeast and the mid-Atlantic, it's quiet. There's nothing going on this evening, overnight tonight. Could get some snow flurries that might drift into northern areas of Montana tomorrow morning. But outside of that, guys, a very quiet day in the northeast too. There's not really a whole lot of anything going on. South central U.S., guys, I'm going to keep repeating myself. Quiet day. We definitely need some rain in Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. You know, I keep saying this and I keep thinking this, really. I'm not really saying it out loud, but, you know, El Nino is a phase in winter that really favors what you call a subtropical jet. And I know a lot of people keep asking, Mitch, are you going to make a winter weather forecast? And I say it over and over again. I don't really do those just because I think they're really just for fun. And, you know, I like doing, you know, guys, I'm a fun guy. But I don't like to just do something like this just for fun if there's nothing that really is like backing up what I'm saying. And I'm just going to jump on here and pretty much say what everybody else is saying, that there's going to be a chance of above average precipitation because of an active subtropical jet in the southeast. And then because of that, because of more clouds, more moisture, your average temperatures will probably be lower in the winter because of that. But I think a lot of people see below average temperatures in the southeast and they immediately think snow. That's not the case. There's more that goes into it, and I wish more people would explain that in some of these winter weather forecasts that some folks like to watch. There's more that goes into all of it than what is told in fancy maps. It's not a knock on anybody. I used to look at it too when I was younger. But don't get too excited about things. El Nino is a lot trickier. It's a lot trickier than what people realize. It's not We had a really strong El Nino, and I don't know if you guys remember in 2015, 2016. 2015 December was record warm. It got into the 80s on Christmas here in my location. It was just terrible December for trying to get in the holiday mood and the weather cooperating, in my opinion. And then we had one really, really big winter storm in areas of the southeast, and it really didn't, I wouldn't even say the southeast, it was really like just the Apps and the Piedmont, North Carolina points north where, I don't know if you remember the 2016 winter storm that, really just smacked Washington, D.C. region with over almost 2 feet of snow. But that was really it for that winter. It really was. So not trying to be a Debbie Downer, and I know I'm rambling here, but what I'm trying to say is I do expect more of a rainy pattern to emerge for these areas in the southeast as we get deeper into the winter. I really do. So, sorry. Guys, I like to ramble, but the north central U.S., and quiet. Quiet compared to the last few days after a very active day on Halloween where you guys just saw some wacky weather. Some of your snow will begin to melt today, but it's going to be a pretty quiet day. Some snow showers could drift into the International Falls area, maybe into northeast Minnesota. It's a very quiet day for the north central U.S. Enjoy it. Enjoy your nice weather. Western U.S. a little bit different. You're waking up to a lot of rain this morning in the Pacific Northwest. This will continue and eventually get all the way into central Montana, and will fall in the form of snow in like the Yellowstone National Park area. And yes, this will fall in the form of snow in these higher elevations of Idaho as we're getting into later this afternoon, this evening. Montana, but man, you gotta be pretty far up for this to fall as snow. This is getting to around 7, 8 p.m. this evening. The rain has finally let up for Washington and Oregon after a very rainy start to your day. And I really think some snow could add up as we're waking up tomorrow morning for like northwest Wyoming. But this is a much warmer storm compared to what we saw over, over the last 7 to 10 days. So I'll roll through this one more time. This is 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. This is getting all the way to lunchtime at this point. Still raining pretty good in Oregon, extreme northern sections of California. And then this kind of makes its way through Idaho. And then we'll watch another system that is on the horizon for areas of Oregon and northern Cal. But as far as rainfall between now and the next 24 hours, guys, you go down to the extreme northwestern tip of California, a couple inches of rain, a little bit of a rain shadow ongoing in these valleys between the coastline and then the Cascades of Washington and just the Pacific Northwest. A little bit of a rain shadow, not a little bit, it's always a big one, ongoing where a lot of these higher elevations where this moisture goes up to these spiking elevations. This provides more lift to the atmosphere, basically squeezes out all the moisture in the atmosphere. That's why out here when I show you the precipitation map, you already see more moisture in these weird little areas right here. These are the mountain ranges. You can always tell based off rainfall, and you can certainly always tell based off snow. But man, look at this. You got to get very high up. You got to get in some of these extreme higher elevations like, what is it, like Mount Rainier, I think it's Mount Rainier. Don't laugh at me. Most of the time I know how to pronounce that, but I'm brain farting here. Mount St. Helens area, I don't even know if the tip of that will get a ton of snow from this. You got to be pretty high up since Mount St. Helens blew, a few thousand feet off its lid here, a few decades back. If it was a little bit taller and didn't do all that and make such a ruckus, then, maybe it could get a little bit more snow. It's pretty funny on social media. There is a social media profile for Mount St. Helens, and it's like a profile that speaks on behalf of Mount St. Helens, and it like argues with all the other mountain tops and the Cascades. It's hilarious, like the Mount Hood and stuff like that. It is hilarious how they bicker back and forth. But anyways, guys, I'm just rambling at this point. But as you can tell, guys, not a lot of snow from this at all. But we move a little bit further west. Let's look at our folks in Idaho and western Montana. And let's see how much rainfall. Let's look at the snow first. Not a whole lot of snow, and this goes all the way through the weekend. But I think the snow could add up in some of these higher elevations in Yellowstone National Park, and a little bit of snow on these higher peaks in Montana and Idaho for sure. And if you look at good old-fashioned rain from this, definitely a kind of a washout kind of day in central and northern Idaho for sure. So temperatures today, return flow setting up, so you're still dealing with chilly temperatures all the way to northeast areas of Texas, all the way through Arkansas. I mean, points east and points northeast. I mean, definitely a chilly day across the northeast, just 30s and 40s for highs. Texas, South Texas, and southern areas of Florida, kind of the only areas that are really warm, except you get into the high plains and just the plains in general, starting to warm back into the 60s. You know, some of these areas a few days back were getting freezing rain and a little bit of snow, and now you're almost hitting 70 degrees. So starting to warm up in the southwest, and still just hanging on to below freezing temperatures in North Dakota for dear life, as you probably still have some snowpack up there. Speaking on the tropics, guys, you know, not a lot to speak on. Invest 97L looked like it had a dangerous future at one point, but since has really dropped off, now only down to a 30% chance to develop. Will probably bring a lot of unsettled weather for Central America, a lot of moisture over the weekend, but, I mean, some gusty winds, but, I mean, guys, I mean, it could have been worse. There was some scary runs there for a while that was showing a dangerous hurricane, kind of flirting around with the idea of being in the Caribbean several days back, and since then things have really chilled out. Could this be the last hurrah with the tropics? It could be, but I would bet that there's probably going to be something else that flares up. But you're really deep into that time of the year in the tropics where things don't really threaten the lower 48 much anymore. But I always will say never say never. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Not a whole lot to speak on, it really isn't. But stay tuned for tonight. We are going to talk about what I am seeing going forward into the next couple weeks in November. That's all I got. God bless all y'all. Have a great day, and I'll see you tonight.